What if I told you that a narrow strip of water, so small you could fly over it in minutes, has the power to crash the global economy overnight? A place where one mistake, one missile, or even one misunderstanding could send oil prices skyrocketing, trigger military conflict, and affect the lives of billions of people across the planet. This isn't fiction. This is real. Welcome to the Strait of Hormuz, the most dangerous and strategically important waterway on Earth. And today, we're going to uncover why this tiny passageway holds the entire world hostage. Every day, massive oil tankers, some of the largest ships ever built, silently glide through a narrow corridor of water between the Persian Gulf and the Arabian Sea. This passage is only about 21 miles wide at its narrowest point. But here's the shocking part. Nearly 20% of the world's oil supply passes through this single choke point. That means if anything happens here, anything at all, the consequences won't stay local. They'll ripple across continents, affecting fuel prices, economies, and even political stability worldwide. But why is this place so critical? Who controls it? And why has it been on the edge of conflict for decades? To understand that, we need to go deeper. The Strait of Hormuz sits between two powerful regions, Iran to the north, and Oman and the United Arab Emirates to the south. At first glance, it doesn't seem like much. Just a stretch of water connecting two larger bodies, the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman. But geography here is everything. Because while the entire strait is about 21 miles wide, the actual shipping lanes, the safe paths ships can use, are only about 2 miles wide in each direction. Think about that. Massive oil tankers, each carrying millions of barrels of oil, must pass through lanes barely wider than a highway. And these lanes sit dangerously close to Iranian territory, which means every ship that passes through is always within range of Iranian surveillance, and potentially, its weapons. This makes the Strait of Hormuz not just a trade route, but a pressure point. A global pressure point. Let's talk about oil. The modern world runs on it. From the fuel in your car, to the plastic in your phone, to the energy powering entire cities. Oil is everywhere. Now imagine this. Countries like Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, and the UAE produce vast amounts of oil, but most of it has only one way out to the global market: through the Strait of Hormuz. Every single day, around 17 to 20 million barrels of oil pass through this narrow corridor. That's not just a number, that's economies, that's livelihoods. That's the difference between stability and chaos. If this flow is disrupted, even for a few days, the impact is immediate. Oil prices spike, gas becomes more expensive. Inflation rises, stock markets react, governments scramble. And if it stays blocked longer, we're talking about a full-blown global crisis. This is why the Strait of Hormuz isn't just important, it's indispensable. Here's where things get complicated. Technically, the Strait of Hormuz lies within international waters, meaning all countries have the right to pass through it freely. But in reality, control is a different story. Iran sits on the northern edge of the strait, and it has long claimed that it can close the passage if threatened. And that's not an empty threat. Iran has invested heavily in military capabilities designed specifically for this region. Fast attack boats, naval mines, anti-ship missiles, coastal defense systems, all designed to control or disrupt traffic through the strait. On the other side, the United States and its allies maintain a strong naval presence in the region. Why? To ensure that the strait remains open. This creates a tense standoff, a silent game of chess played on water. Every move matters. Every signal is watched. And sometimes, things get dangerously close to escalation. The Strait of Hormuz has seen its share of drama. During the Iran-Iraq War in the 1980s, both sides targeted oil tankers in what became known as the Tanker War. Ships were attacked. Mines were deployed. The waterway became a battlefield. Then, in more recent years, tensions have flared again. Oil tankers mysteriously damaged drones, shot down naval vessels shadowing each other. Threats of closure from Iran. Each incident sends shockwaves through global markets. Because everyone knows what's at stake. One wrong move could spiral into something much bigger. Let's imagine the unthinkable. The Strait of Hormuz is suddenly closed. No ships get through. What happens next? Within hours, oil prices begin to surge. Within days, fuel shortages begin in some regions. Within weeks, global supply chains start breaking down. Air travel becomes more expensive. Food prices rise. Industries slow down. And governments? They're forced into emergency measures. Strategic oil reserves might be released, but those are temporary solutions. The real problem remains. There is no easy alternative route. Pipelines exist, but they can't handle the full volume. The world is simply too dependent on this one choke point. And that dependence is what makes it so dangerous. Closing the Strait of Hormuz isn't as simple as putting up a barrier, but it doesn't take much either. Here's how it could happen. Naval mines. Even a small number of mines can make shipping extremely risky. Clearing them takes time. Missile attacks, anti-ship missiles launched from the coast could target tankers or naval escorts. Swarm tactics. Small, fast boats could overwhelm larger vessels. Submarines' stealth attacks could disrupt shipping without warning. The goal wouldn't necessarily be total closure, but creating enough fear and uncertainty that shipping companies refuse to pass through. And that alone would be enough to disrupt global supply. If the Strait of Hormuz were threatened, the response would be immediate and massive. The United States Navy would likely take the lead, supported by allies such as the UK and regional partners. Their mission? Keep the strait open at all costs. This could involve escorting oil tankers, clearing mines, neutralizing threats, establishing control over key areas. But here's the problem. Any military action risks escalation. And escalation in this region could mean a much larger conflict, one that pulls in multiple countries, one that affects the entire world. You might be thinking, why does this matter to me? Here's why. Even if you live thousands of miles away, the Strait of Hormuz affects your daily life. When oil prices rise, transportation costs increase, food becomes more expensive, electricity prices go up, businesses pass costs to consumers. It's all connected. That small strip of water influences everything from your grocery bill to your travel plans to the global economy itself. The world is slowly transitioning to alternative energy sources: solar, wind, electric vehicles. But the truth is, we're not there yet. Oil still dominates. And as long as it does, the Strait of Hormuz will remain one of the most critical and dangerous places on Earth. Efforts are being made to reduce dependence. New pipelines, diversified energy sources, strategic reserves. But none of them can fully replace the strait. At least, not yet. So the next time you hear about tensions in the Middle East or see headlines about oil prices rising, remember this: there's a narrow stretch of water, just 21 miles wide, quietly shaping the fate of the entire world. The Strait of Hormuz, a place where geography, politics, and power collide. A place where the balance of the global economy hangs by a thread. And a place where the world is always just one step away from crisis. If you found this video eye-opening, make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Because understanding the world's most critical choke points isn't just interesting, it's essential. And trust me, this is just the beginning.